Good morning and welcome to Nine's Morning News. This Friday, Cyclone Narelle arrives. The Category 4 storm crossing far north Queensland as we go to air. We are live with the latest. Drill baby drill calls to make the most of Australia's natural oil and gas as the Energy Minister lays out plans to secure our fuel supply. The moment a missile explodes just metres from a reporter in Lebanon as Donald Trump creates a very uncomfortable moment in the White House. The painful postscript to the Bulldogs' gritty win over the Raiders, and the Australian psychologist helping Prince William in his fight to end youth homelessness.
This is 9 News with Alison Piotrowski.
Good morning, and let's get straight to that breaking news out of far north Queensland, where Tropical Cyclone Narelle is right now making landfall as a Category 4 system. Let's go live to Pat Heaney in Cooktown. Pat, conditions are deteriorating.
They definitely are. The winds are picking up here, Ali, including the storm swell as well. But Cooktown isn't the focus of this cyclone at the moment. It has just tracked north a little bit more further than expected to some small towns up there, including the town of Cowan. Cowan right now experiencing the centre of that Category 4 cyclone, upwards of 250, 260 km/h winds there. I've spoken to the mayor a short time ago. They have now lost reception, Wi-Fi, and the water has been turned off. They have been told to find the strongest place in the buildings they are near and take shelter for the next couple of hours. He said that prior to him losing contact with me was that there was a number of gum trees coming down on homes, that at this stage he had no reports of any injuries to the community, but there had been roofs being torn off sheds and some getting pretty precarious roofs on homes as well. So hopefully those homes stay together for the next little while, but it could be a number of hours until we speak to the people of Cowan again. There was also a community called Lockhart River a couple of hours north. It was experiencing some of those 200 km/h winds. Bit unexpectedly, because that cyclone did track towards them just at the last second. So a lot of people there as well, sheltering in their houses, taking videos out of their windows. So it is going to be a long, long wait for people in these communities. They have been told to prepare authorities in place. The Premier, David Crisafulli, spoke earlier today as the cyclone began to cross. He had to say,
"We have prepared, you have prepared. The best place right now is for you to remain exactly where you are."
So a lot of damage expected. We've spoken to the Cookshire Mayor as well. That is a local council here. A lot of councils working together about what happens now. They need to reassess when the cyclone goes through. It will then travel right across the Cape. So it's got the eastern towns. It's hitting them now. It will go across the Cape and hit the other towns on the Gulf later this afternoon. And after all those great extraordinary winds have gone through, there is hundreds of millimetres of rain expected. It is already incredibly wet up here in far north Queensland. We are isolated here in Cooktown. Cowan is certainly isolated, and all of these communities could be stuck for a number of days, if not weeks. So it'll be a long, long wait and a long road to recovery for communities up here. Ali?
All right, Pat, you'll keep tracking Narelle for us throughout today. Pat Heaney there in Cooktown. Turning to today's other news, with the cost of fuel continuing to rise, there are new warnings the situation could deteriorate further next month. Energy Minister Chris Bowen is meeting with state ministers later today. Right now, let's go live to Canberra and federal politics reporter Amanda Kopp. Amanda, what's the government said it's doing to help?
Ali, the Energy Minister Chris Bowen has been speaking this morning and has announced more help for the nation's 2 remaining oil refineries, one in Queensland and one in Victoria. We used to have more refineries, but they've progressively shut down in recent years, leading to significant vulnerabilities in the economy and our transport sector. Minister Bowen says now the government supports for the 2 remaining refineries are being made more consistent to help the businesses keep operating here in Australia. The minister working to reassure the public as well that there's still no reason to panic or to panic buy.
Every ship that has been expected to arrive in Australia has arrived. Our 2 refineries are working absolutely full bore, and there is no need for Australians to be concerned about their access to fuel supplies coming into the country.
But there are other suggestions on how to help in the mix. Nationals leader Matt Canavan pushing for oil drilling in the Great Australian Bight so that we can have more of our own fuel supplies rather than relying on imports from overseas. Ali?
And Amanda, the Prime Minister has been the target of protesters in Sydney this morning.
Yeah, he has. The PM has had a bit of a disturbed morning. He was visiting the Lakemba Mosque in Sydney for Eid celebrations, which marks the end of fasting for Ramadan. He was welcomed by the leadership there and sat pretty peacefully for a time, but that was quickly interrupted. Here's what's happened inside.
Boo Tony Black! Boo Alison! What are you doing here? How dare you come here? How dare you
Yeah, the Prime Minister and Tony Burke, the Home Affairs Minister, in there as well. This was seemingly over events in Palestine and Gaza, but the Lakemba Muslim Association has defended the PM's invite, saying that choosing to engage with the elected leadership of this country is not a betrayal of those concerns. It's how we give them a voice. Now, the PM is on to different things later today. He's off to Whyalla in South Australia to talk up Australian manufacturing. Ali?
Amanda Kopp in Canberra. Thank you, Amanda. Melburnians are feeling pressure at the pump. Unleaded fuel has topped almost $3 a litre. Diesel has also reached record highs. Prices in some areas are sitting at around $3.59.
It's so expensive. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be around, like, this tank, it used to be filled maybe around maybe $1,200, $1,300 or $1,400. I think it's going to be around $2,000 or something.
As the fuel crisis worsens, people are being urged to take public transport. Meantime, some drivers in New South Wales have been caught allegedly refusing to pay for fuel. CCTV from service stations in Croydon and Bankstown in Sydney show thieves filling up their cars before driving off. Police warn petrol theft is rising all over the country, pushing up costs for everyone. Meantime, retaliatory strikes between Iran and Israel on oil and gas facilities have raised the stakes of the war, sending fuel prices soaring and world leaders in a rush for a solution. Here's more from US correspondent Reid Butler.
Critical energy infrastructure is in the firing line again today. We have seen an oil refinery in northern Israel on fire after it was impacted by an Iranian missile. This new phase of this war was started when Israel hit a large gas field facilities on the South Pars gas field in Iran. Today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Israel acted alone on that. It didn't coordinate that attack with the United States because it did anger the United States President Donald Trump, who confirmed as well today at the White House that he'd spoken to Netanyahu.
I told him don't do that, and he won't do that.
The Israeli Prime Minister also responding to growing criticism that America only got involved in this war with Iran because of pressure from Israel.
Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on.
Key NATO allies have said they want to make a plan to try and protect the Strait of Hormuz, that critical shipping route that is currently blocked, affecting the energy markets all over the world. But the US president, he was actually meeting the Japanese Prime Minister today at the White House, and he was asked by a Japanese reporter why America didn't inform those allies that this war was going to start in the first place.
We wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right?
From awkward to shocking, this video going viral, a British journalist centimetres from death after an Israeli missile hit while he was reporting in southern Lebanon.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
Steve Sweeney is a reporter. He and the cameraman work for Russian state TV. They were treated for shrapnel wounds, and this is what Sweeney had to say.
This was a deliberate, targeted attack on journalists. There's no mistake about it.
That would be an international war crime, but Israel has released a statement maintaining that it gave the crew enough notice. Everyone in the area knew that a missile was about to hit.
US correspondent Reid Butler. Meantime, Iran's national women's soccer team has been honoured at a ceremony marking their return to their war-torn home. Several players had raised concerns about potential persecution if they went back after failing to sing the national anthem at a Women's Asian Cup match in Australia. 5 members of the team were granted asylum but later withdrew their applications. 2 players have decided to stay in Australia. South Australians will head to the polls tomorrow, with Labor on track for its largest two-party preferred vote in the state's history. Meanwhile, One Nation has surged to 22% of the primary vote in a pre-election news poll, overtaking the Liberal Party on just 16%. Well, still ahead on Nine's Morning News, the latest from far north Queensland as Cyclone Narelle makes landfall. We are live to Port Douglas next. A young boy fighting for life after falling from a moving train in Sydney's south. And how the war in Iran could disrupt peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. You're watching Nine's Morning News, and we'll be right back after this. Returning to our top story, and Tropical Cyclone Narelle is continuing to make landfall as a Category 4 system in far north Queensland. Let's go live to Gary Youngbury, who's in Port Douglas for us this morning. Gary, what's the latest on conditions on the coast?
Well, Ali, yes, Port Douglas this morning, about an hour 15 drive north of Cairns. That immediate threat of damaging winds has passed, thankfully. It was a bit of a sleepless night last night. Some of those wind gusts you could just hear whistling through the windows, indeed, and that brought down some power lines. We were out power outages for a few hours. They were restored, thankfully, early this morning. It's turning into more of a rainfall event now here in Port Douglas as that system crosses the coast. There's been a lot of rain here in the past few weeks, and there's been quite a bit of flooding, and that is set to continue over the next 24 to 36 hours. The tail of this system could have some sting. Now, I want to show you along the beach front. It is quite a mess here. Not a lot of sand left due to a high tide and storm surge. You can see all the debris. A lot of that is from the flooding that's occurred over the past couple of weeks here in the far north. Looking down towards the beach, you can see some cables with weed hanging off that. That's what normally is the stinger nets that they have at this time of the year. Of course, they had to be removed. Apparently a little bit of a threat, possible crocodiles in these waters when we get a lot of heavy rain flushing out the river systems, but the ocean has really calmed down, looking very murky indeed from just stormwater runoff at the moment. But the winds are backing off. They will gradually continue to ease, but the rain will push through with some very heavy bands of moisture to continue really over the next 24 hours, Ali.
Gary Youngbury in Port Douglas. Thank you, Gary. A young boy is fighting for life this morning after falling from a moving train in Sydney's south. The 13-year-old fell from inside the carriage and landed on the tracks near Engadine, sustaining serious head injuries. The incident comes amid fresh warnings from Transport New South Wales following a spate of train surfing and trespassing incidents. With the world's attention trained on the Middle East, concerns are mounting that Russia's war on Ukraine is being forgotten. Now there are mixed messages from the two nations on the future of peace talks. The Kremlin says discussions between Washington, Moscow and Kyiv are on a situational pause due to the Iran war, while Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says his negotiators are en route to the United States for new talks. Actor Kevin Spacey has reached an out-of-court settlement with three men who allege he sexually assaulted them between 2000 and 2013. A civil trial was scheduled to take place in London later this year but will no longer proceed. The 66-year-old has denied all allegations. Well, coming up on Nine's Morning News, all of the day's sports news, including the painful postscript to the Bulldogs' impressive win over the Raiders. Why Sam Mitchell says the Hawks were lucky in their thrilling win over the Swans. Could an early sign of Alzheimer's disease be right under our noses? The new discovery from London scientists. And the Australian delegation and their meeting with Prince William. You're watching Nine's Morning News, and we'll be right back after this. The Bulldogs say their culture was on show in their 14-10 win over the Raiders last night. After a week dominated by talk of Bronson Xerri's axing, the Dogs survived a late onslaught from Canberra to remain undefeated this season.
Got tremendous leaders led by Stephen, and they've been really good at, there might be stuff going on off the field that's a bit of noise in that, but they're really good at just staying process-minded and getting on with the job, and they were outstanding this week.
There is one injury concern for the Dogs. Their coach, Cameron Ciraldo, requiring stitches in his hand after the sliding window in the coaching box shattered. AFL and Hawthorn coach Sam Mitchell admits his side was somewhat lucky to get away with a 17-point win over the Swans. The Hawks were wasteful in front of the goal, finishing with 15 behinds, the result going down to the final minutes.
From the opportunities we had, we should have put a bigger score up. And I thought we were quite lucky. Our defensive intent and our tackling pressure probably saved us a few times as well.
Swans coach Dean Cox says Charlie Curnow will need some time to adjust to Sydney's playing style. Curnow kicked 2 early goals but was well contained for the rest of the game. Beth Mooney has fired for Australia in the first T20 of its tour of the West Indies. The opener blasting 79 runs from 55 deliveries, forming a 99-run partnership with Elise Perry. Australia posted a total of 6 for 164. The hosts are 1 for 33 in their chase. Aston Villa is into the quarter-final of the Europa League. The English club beating French side Lille 2-0, securing a 3-0 scoreline on aggregate. Nottingham Forest were sent to a penalty shootout but managed to progress, giving hope to what has been a disastrous season following the sacking of Ange Postecoglou. There are concerns for the future of David Jones, with sections of stores boarded up and shelves left empty. The 188-year-old Australian department store hasn't released its report for the 2025 financial year, which was due last October. In a statement, the company did not answer why the report has not been released, but says there has been problems paying suppliers. Commuters in Victoria are being warned they could accidentally be charged twice for train trips with the new tap-and-go Myki system. There are reports readers are bypassing the locked screen on smartphones and smartwatches and automatically charging bank cards without the need for a passcode. The state government has apologised and is working to refund the passengers that have been affected. Doctors could soon detect Alzheimer's with a simple nasal swab. Scientists in London discovering cells from our nose could indicate early signs of the disease, which could see patients diagnosed quicker with less invasive procedures. One of the earliest warning signs of Alzheimer's is a loss of smell. An Australian psychologist has met with the Prince of Wales as the future king continues his mission to eradicate homelessness. Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair reports.
The Prince of Wales has met with an Australian psychologist and delegates from 4 other countries here in Bournemouth to share an insight into programs being run in the UK to reduce youth homelessness. Prince William's Homewoods initiative supporting several programs, including one inspired by the Geelong project in Victoria, which helps to identify vulnerable students early and provide tailored support. Dr Kamal Dhaliwal is on the board of Busy Group, which runs alternative schooling for young people at risk of disengaging from education.
And so we sent a bunch of emails out and said, look, I'm going to be in England. Can I come and look at some of your programs? And they said, they wrote back and said, well, coincidentally, we have this special thing happening this week. And the Prince of Wales will be in attendance as well. We'd be honoured if you would join us as a delegate. And I've gone, thank you very much.
The King also travelling to the country's coast to open the Seven Sisters National Nature Reserve and inaugurate a new coastal path spanning almost 4,500 kilometres, making it the longest continuous managed coastal path walking route in the world. King Charles, a lifelong champion of the natural world, walking the new path named in his honour and unveiling a plaque. The path passing through precious landscapes and unlocking parts of England's coastline for public access for the first time.
Tokyo is officially in bloom. Japanese officials have declared the beginning of cherry blossom season in the capital. It takes 5 open blossoms on a particular cherry blossom tree for the Japan Meteorological Agency to declare the season officially underway, and they've already spotted 61. Stay with us, your weather details are next as we take a look at a bit of a cloudy day in Melbourne. Taking a look at the national weather forecast now around the country today. Showers and a top of 27 degrees for Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Sydney, a shower or 2, also a top of 27 degrees. A shower or 2 and the chance of a storm in Canberra, a top of 25. Cloud clearing over Melbourne, 22 degrees. Hobart, partly cloudy and 23. Adelaide, mostly sunny and a top of 27. Perth, 34 the top and a mostly sunny day. Showers and 31 degrees for Darwin. Turning to tomorrow, showers and 28 degrees for Brisbane and the Gold Coast. start your weekend. Sydney, a shower or two, 27 the top. Canberra, a storm developing, showers and 24 degrees. A bit of cloud over Melbourne, 23 degrees. Hobart, also partly cloudy and 24. Clear skies over Adelaide and 26. A sunny top of 32 for Perth. And Darwin, headed for showers and a top of 31 degrees. And that's Nine's morning news. For our Queensland viewers, do stay with us. Our coverage of Cyclone Narelle continues with our team up and down the coast. For everyone else, we'll be back at 4 p.m. with Nine's afternoon news. I'm Alison Piotrowski. Thanks for your company, and I'll see you again soon.